Hello, welcome back. In this role, I'm with Jackie, my coach, who I have weekly training sessions with. And I thought I'd introduce a concept that I'm borrowing from Aikido. So, way back when I started my journey in the martial arts over 40 years ago, in the early 1980s, I was learning Shotokan karate, Atemi jiu-jitsu, another form of traditional Japanese jiu-jitsu, and also Aikido as well. And within Aikido practice, there are a set of concepts called the four states. The four states are Kotai, which is the solid state, Jutai, the soft or gentle state, Rutai, the flowing state, and Kitai, which is the ethereal or gaseous state. And I thought these ideas or concepts chime really nicely with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I've never come across anyone kind of making that connection. So I thought I'd talk about Jutai, perhaps more than anything. It goes without saying that we really ought to think of the four states model uh, as existing simultaneously. So rather than the four states being a linear progression, perhaps as we would think of our belt progression from white, blue, purple, brown to black, that the four states of solid, gentle, flowing, and ethereal all exist all at the same time, even from your very first day in a jiu-jitsu gym to your ongoing journey. You'll always have, shall we say, proportions of those states. So we might say a white belt is predominantly in the Kotai state or solid state. Someone like Jackie is certainly in the Jutai state predominantly, and also the flowing state or Rutai. But there'll be aspects of her practice that are still Kotai, still in that solid state. That's the beauty of these martial arts. Our learning is lifelong, and there's always something that we can be working on and refining and cultivating. But let's kind of dig a little bit deeper into Jutai, the soft or gentle state. And obviously Jiu-Jitsu embodies that state within its name. Ju means soft, flexible or gentle. And the Tai aspect of Jutai is a state, a condition or appearance. In Jiu-Jitsu, the Jitsu aspect describes the art and skill of that softness and gentle art. Some scholars suggest that the soft, gentle aspect of Ju describes combat simply as being without weapons, hard weapons, and that describes the softness. But Jutai, it describes the yielding and leverage-based state where we use technique over strength. And again, that would be a very familiar definition for most people within their practice of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, using a leverage-based skill practice to overcome stronger, bigger opponents wherever possible. So it's about using proper leverage and mechanics. It's about redirecting rather than just directly opposing force. It's about having a relaxed muscle tension. It's very much about feeling, timing, and rhythm. It's about an improved sense of efficiency. And perhaps really important here, the emotional state of a practitioner is relaxed, it's patient, and intelligent, whereas the Kotai state describes someone who's perhaps more in that kind of often ego-driven, fear-based kind of emotional state, fight, flight, or freeze, if you've come across those ideas. And Jutai, exemplified by Jackie, is that she's always in this very relaxed kind of emotional state. You often see her laughing or giggling to herself even when she's rolling with myself or other people, and it's a real demonstration of just what kind of emotional state she's in. In BJJ practice in particular, we might think of Jutai as being indicative of the use of the hips predominantly in all movements, from escapes to guard passing, creating angles for those passes or for recovery from in a position. We might be thinking about how we're setting up frames and grips rather than just opposing forcefully. We might be thinking about how the opponent's strength, pressure and balance can be used against them rather than forcing sweeps, for instance. Recognizing that sometimes we need to yield and disengage in order to re-engage once more rather than just persist and resist and just gas ourselves out. And that actually we're able to breathe in a manner that is rhythmic and relaxed as well, so we're not gassing ourselves out. Maybe good developmental markers for Jutai are that you're able to successfully sweep someone, maybe particularly someone who's bigger than you, that you are no longer engaged in death grips. We all know that as white belts and even to blue belt territory, we can still end up in death grips where we would be far better served to release a grip and move on. Understanding the concept of position before submission. Rather than forcing submissions, we're making sure that our position is really dominant and the submission is almost the icing on the cake. And that we're really beginning to conserve energy as well when we're rolling and training, because again, we've got this emotional state which is relaxed and we're no longer forcing the issue when it comes to training with our partners. So I think that might be an interesting concept for some of you to draw from a sister art, shall we say, Aikido. We shouldn't forget that Aikido was derived from another school of traditional jiu-jitsu, Aki jiu-jitsu. It's worth remembering that there are many different classical or traditional schools of jiu-jitsu derived from Japan, and one form ended up in Brazil and was developed by the Gracies from Brazil into, as we know it today, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But we should never forget that those concepts and ideas run deep within the arts, and that sometimes going back to Japan, so to speak, to delve deeper into these concepts may help us open another window into understanding our practice, our learning, and our development in these arts as we go on. So if that's interesting, I'm more than happy to talk about the other states in future videos. As a nascent blue belt, I'm purposefully trying to relax and get into this Jutai or soft state. Not always successfully, but it's a clear, purposeful practice point for all my roles to kind of embody Jutai. And maybe that might be useful for you. Let me know in the comments, or if you have a question, feel free to ask. I'll do my best to answer it. But thank you for watching. In the meantime, enjoy your practice, stay safe, and hopefully I'll see you again in the next video. Take care.